This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Oliver Friesen, of course, the CEO of Guardian Metal Resources. Thank you, as always, for joining us, Oliver, on quite a bit of significant news. You've raised $2.75 million to accelerate the project development and exploration. So, I mean, thank you for joining us. How are you, first of all?
Yeah, I'm doing well, Mark. It was not too long ago we were in New York together, and here we are again back in Europe. But yeah, it was a really exciting day yesterday to get that announcement out. It really bolsters the cash position, and now we have the funds to do a lot of really exciting things on the ground in Nevada.
Yes, indeed. Well, of course, it wasn't long ago, it was only a week or two ago, we were in New York there at the OTC, and it's really good to see this money coming in US dollars, coming from North America. You know, that goes to show that dual listing, that work you've been doing at the OTC has really been paying off. And you say it is interest from North American resource investments. And following this, your recent trip, when we were out there, you were able to finalize that probably not long after you rang the bell at the OTC there. So, I mean, you're seeing interest here from North American investors.
Massively. And before I get into that, yes, you're right. When I was in New York, there was a handful of meetings that I was attending to. And just for the listeners' sake, I thought it was funny that Mark and I actually went out for lunch after the OTC bell ringing to a bagel shop in New York. And I offered to buy Mark a lunchtime bagel. And I said, he said, "Oh, I'm getting a few bagels for my wife as well, so I'll just pay for those myself." I said, "No worries, just put it on the tab. It's fine, we can handle it." And he said, no, trust me, this needs to be, I'm going to pay for this. Anyways, I go away, sit down, and about 30 minutes later, he comes back with a bag of bagels that I think was about 30 or 40 pounds heavy. So it was, it might be a new nickname there in the future there, Mark. We'll see. I'm sure you have a freezer full of bagels now. But yeah, after that meeting, or after that lunch, I had some meetings in New York and then the following day. And exactly what you said, we're experiencing a lot of investor interest in the US and in North America, as we expected. I think the news yesterday from China that they're banning or curbing the exports of antimony to the United States really signals where this trade war is going. And we put out a RNS about 3 weeks ago, which was the Senate committee meeting on the industrial base. And literally tungsten and antimony were spoken about in that article sort of in tandem. So not to say that a tungsten export ban is coming, but there is certainly speculation that one could be coming here. And more importantly, it just signals that we need to now reshore ASAP here the domestic resources in the United States, and especially those surrounding, military metals. So because of that, we're seeing a huge uptick in investor interest in the US. And we expected that, just being a US focused national security story.
Good. No, great. That's really good to hear, and thank you again for the bagel lunch there. It was very, very nice. You say in the RNS the financing has been undertaken at the perfect time as you're keen to expand your operational activities, given the fundings to date. So, I mean, how long does this funding secure you for, and what are the funds going to be used for?
Yeah, no, in terms of a perfect time, and just so investors are kind of aware of the windows that are available to finance. So it's obviously clear that we've been drilling for several weeks now. And the way it works is we haven't, and we've mentioned this in the RNS, the initial results from the first holes are expected sort of imminently. So the reality is, as soon as those results come in, there's a steady stream of assays that we expect from the initial ones until months after we finish drilling, and we're still drilling right now. So what that means is that there was a short window where if we didn't get this done, it could be 6 to 8 months down the line before there was another window where we could finance. So we took advantage of it. We got offered money from some really good groups, and that was key. That was key for us. I mean, I think it's important to highlight, if you look back at our financing history since we IPO'd in May 10th of 2023, so call it a year and a half ago, that IPO raise was a retail brokered raise in the UK. It's important to get shares into retail hands in the UK. But since then, all of our additional financings have been strategic financings. They've been non-brokered. They've been us working directly with a capital source, and in all the instances, a very good capital source to bring money into the right hands, because these are the people that we want aligned with this business. They're investors that look at what we're doing. They look at where the puck is going, so to say, Canadian reference, and say, what do you think you can do in the next 2 to 3 years? And we outline what that looks like. And they say, okay, yeah, we're interested in that. We'll invest, and we'll let you kind of focus on, executing on that vision. Whereas obviously retail investors, and like I said, it's important that we have them in the story, but their timelines are different versus some of these bigger, and really sophisticated mining focused investors. So that was key here. The money was coming from really the right people. And that really matches and aligns with the majority of our investor base right now, which have a longer term outlook on the stock and think we can do something pretty special here in the next 2 to 3 years.
Okay, so this funding enables you to continue with that sort of continuous pipeline that we talked about there, of continuing to sort of keep running the drill program as it develops and following where you feel the near-term value is. I mean, what does this keep you going for the next year? And could you give an idea, or is it a bit difficult to say?
No, it's more than that. So yeah, the cash balance, our treasury now sits well north of £4 million now. We are a very lean business. You'll see in our accounts, our year-end accounts, which will be filed in November, how lean of a business we are. But that's how these businesses should run. We need to focus on putting money into the ground. So how long does this keep us going for at the current rate? At least 2 years minimum. At sort of the current kind of spend commitments that we have right now. But more importantly, this allows us to expand on some of the important work streams that are ongoing. So for instance, when it comes to, the PFS surrounding Desert Shield, we're looking to tap into US government funds to support that. And that's what they're interested in. They're interested in the tungsten resource that sits at surface. When it comes to the more exploration side of the business, and for instance, drilling Porphyry South and now Porphyry West, that's something that we need to fund ourselves. So when we were looking at all these new targets that Dr. Lawrence had developed at Garfield and at Pilot, we're going, this is a big system. It's bigger than we, I think, ever thought before. And that means a lot more exploration needs to be done. So this raise was sort of earmarked and specialized for a lot of the really exciting exploration that we're doing. Obviously, some of the funds will be used towards development, but as I mentioned, we're looking to tap into non-dilutive funding sources to help foot the bill for the important PFS and development work stream. So this is more of an exploration, drilling focused raise, and that's what the various parties who participated were interested in. It was also the tungsten, but they saw the potential at some of these other targets and wanted to support further drilling and exploration into those zones.
Okay, good. And also the RNS talked about perhaps starting work on Garfield as well.
Yes, it did. So this funding allows us and gives us the bandwidth to go and drill Garfield as well. So we mentioned there that we're just working through some final bits with the geophysics that's now in hand associated with Garfield. So we'll have news out imminently or very, very soon. And then that we'll talk about next steps here. So there's a lot of drilling that needs to be done here at Pilot Mountain, but exciting drilling. These are targets that we really, really want to get after. And then after that, or sometime maybe, we'll see how at the timing all works out. But Garfield, as everyone knows, has really proven itself up to be a very exciting copper porphyry potential discovery. So we need to go and we need to continue to further exploration there, and these funds will assist in that.
Good stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing some of this news start to come through. Just a final thought, that the continuing exploration drilling at Pilot Mountain, all going to plan, assays still going through the process?
Yeah, absolutely. We've been 24/7 since we started. So we'll certainly, the key with this financing was getting this completed, getting this out. And now we can kind of shift focus again back to the data that's coming in. As mentioned, the initial drill assays are expected imminently. So we're looking forward to getting our hands on those. The geophysics is in hand. So now it's a matter of working through all that with our exploration team, preparing the various news releases for the market. So it's going to be a lot of news here over the next certainly few weeks here. But drilling is ongoing. So what that means is, as I mentioned, as soon as the initial assays come in, we've been sending batches to the lab every kind of 2 weeks, really, since we started the first batch. So it's going to be continual. And with the money's in now, we're going to talk about some of these additional targets we're going to go after, amendments to permits, and then we're going to be tackling those targets. And those are certainly holes that the market should be looking forward to us drilling.
Super. Excellent. Well, thank you very much as always for your time. Oliver Friesen, the CEO of Guardian Metal Resources.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.